Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to English grade 7 video lessons. I'm your English teacher Zia. I hope that you're doing well. Students, let's learn about modal verbs or modal auxiliary verbs today. This is our lecture number 1B, and this is a continuity of the previous lecture where we talked about main verbs and auxiliary verbs. Now, today we have the SLO, recognize and demonstrate functions and use of would, need, could, might, shall, must, ought, and dare in affirmative, positive, negative, and interrogative sentences. So all these modal verbs are mentioned over here. Students, when you see them, you can instantly recall that these are modal verbs. They are showing different kind of purposes and situations where you want to use permission, you want to show some necessity, certainty, and all that. So we use modal verbs for that purpose, because there can be different ways of showing that you can do something. You can show ability, you can show your inability, and all those things in different scenarios. So this is why we use these kind of verbs, and they are called modal verbs. Let's move on to the main lesson. Here you can see the vertical linkage before you, and now you have to be very much responsive. You have to think about it and listen to this prompt clearly, read it with me, and think about it for a moment, and then come back later so that we can begin our main lesson. So you have to think about all the different ways you can express possibility of something, ability, permission, obligation, or advice. So what kinds of words or phrases do you use? Now there are some kinds of words that can show all these different scenarios and situations. So how can you say if you are unable to do something, or if you are able to do an action or an activity? Think about it. And now let's move on to the main lesson. Let's talk about all these different kinds of modal verbs and how we can use them in different scenarios accordingly, because each one of them shows a different kind of purpose. Now students, let's see. These modals or modal verbs are can, could, may, might. Here, let's talk about these first. Now, the modal verb can usually expresses ability or capacity of doing something. For example, I can swim across the river. I can means you have the capacity and the ability, the power to do this action of swimming across the river. So you can do it. You have all the possibilities of doing it, and you have all the energy and ability to do this. So you can say, I can swim across the river. This shows that you have the ability of this verb or this action. He can work this sum. Can you lift this box? Now this is an interrogative sentence. You can also use modal verbs in interrogative sentences, but they usually come at the beginning. Can you lift this box? Now wait for the answer to the person who you are asking this question. Can and may are used to express permissions or polite requests. If you want to seek permission of doing something, or if you want to politely request somebody for an action or for any help. Now, may is very much formal. It means when you are in formal setting, when you're talking to your superiors, your teachers, people who are older than you, they are having authority, you will use the modal verb may. For example, you may go now, or you can go now. May is for formal setting and can is for informal and showing casuality. Now, can or may I borrow your umbrella? This is just a polite request. This is, you can say, capacity of expression. Now, may is used to express possibility in positive sentences or affirmative sentences. Can is used in the corresponding interrogative and negative sentences, just like we used over here. We used over here for the purpose of showing interrogative sentence. Let's learn with some examples. It may rain tomorrow. It means that I'm not sure, but it may rain. It shows possibility of raining. So when you're not sure that if tomorrow rains or not, you can just say it may rain tomorrow. You cannot say it can rain tomorrow because you are not sure about it. So when we are not sure, but there is a possibility, there's a chance of something happening, you will use the word, the modal verb may. He may be at home. Can this be true? Now here we use can because this is for showing a question form. It cannot be true. This is showing the inability of this happening. So whether you want to show ability or inability, or if you want to show possibility or chance of something happening, then my dear learners, you can use these different kind of modal verbs according to the situation. Now may is used to express a wish also. For example, if you want to say, may you live happily and long. You cannot say, can you live happily and long. So may is also a wish. It's a supplication. It is a very good sentence that you are wishing someone. May success attend you. Here again we are using may because we are wishing a good luck, a good chance to the other person. So here can or cannot shows your ability or inability of doing something. You can also use them in your questions and also in the negative forms. Now, and may is very much formal. You can use this to ask permission. You can use this to give your wishes in your sentences. So you can see that permission, possibilities, abilities, all these are, they can be served by using the modal verbs. Okay, now let's see could and might, how they can be used. They are used as the past equivalents of can and may. Can becomes could in the past and may becomes might in the past. Now, I could swim across the river when I was young. This is an ability, but an ability that is showing in the past. Now, the person, the speaker, cannot do it right now, but he used to do it when he was young. So, I could swim across the river when I was young. An ability, you can use could when there was a chance in the past, but not in the present. He said that I might go. This is also in the past form. The past form of may. This is permission. Now, I thought he might be at home. Now, might is a possibility. He might or might not be at home. So, we are just using this modal verb to show possibility of him being at home. She wondered whether it could be true. Again, we are showing possibility. It could be true, it could not be true, we are not sure about it, and we are using it in the past form. Can you pass the salt? This is a polite request, and this is a question, and we talked about it that in interrogative we use can. Now, students, in the negative sentences, however, either could or was or were able to may be used. You can use could or was or were able to, depending on the kind of pronoun, whether it's singular or plural. Let's look at some examples. I could not, or you can say was not able to solve the puzzle. It was too difficult. I could not. This is showing inability, but in the past. And this is an negative sentence. Might is also used to express a degree of dissatisfaction or reproach, as you might pay a little more attention to your appearance. Now, you are dissatisfied and having a sense of dissatisfaction with it. So you can just recommend somebody or suggest somebody to pay a little more attention to your appearance. So you can say, you might pay a little more attention to your appearance. You could have accepted the offer. It means that the speaker did not accept the offer. So we can say, you could have accepted the offer. There's a possibility, there's an ability, but it is in the past. Now, students, I should like you to help her. This is a polite form of want. Would you lend me your scooter, please? This is also a past form of will you. You should have been more careful. Here, should indicates obligation that was not fulfilled. It means that it didn't happen, and now you're saying you should have been more careful. He should be in the library now. This is also showing probability. I wish you would not chatter so much. Now, here, would not, would offers wish, express, or a strong desire. So it depends on the speaker and the person who's saying it in different situations. It could be showing a possibility, a desire, or any of these expressions. Now, must and ought to is used. Must is used to express necessity, that something is necessary or something is obligatory. You must improve your spelling, because improving spelling is a necessity. We must get up early. It could be a necessity, it could be an obligation. Must refers to the present or the near future. If you want to talk about past, we use had to, the past form of have to. Must have no past form. Yesterday we had to get up early. It is showing a past form of have to, since we are talking about the past. Now, must is often used when the obligation comes from the speaker. When the obligation comes from somewhere else, we use have to. Now, I must be on a diet. Must can also express logical certainty. You are giving your own idea so that you are the speaker, and it depends on you that how much emphasis you do on the sentence. Must can also express logical certainty. Living in such crowded conditions must be difficult. It means it is very difficult. Ought to expresses moral obligations that you need to do or your desires. We ought to love our neighbors. It's an obligation. We ought to help him. This is an obligation. You ought to know better. Now, ought to can also be used to express probability. For example, prices ought to come down soon. They may come down soon or may not. This is a probability. This book ought to be very useful. So you can see that when you want to show desires, probability, possibilities in the past form, you can just transform the present forms of modal verbs into the past, and that will do the job. Now, at the end, need and dare. The need represents necessity or obligation and can be combined with or without the word do. When combined without do, it has no s or ed forms and is used with an infinitive without to only in negative and interrogative sentences, and in the sentences that contain semi-negative words like scarcely or hardly or rarely, etc. He need not to go. It means it is not necessary for him to go. Need I write to him? I need hardly take his help. So you can use these for showing obligations or necessities. The auxiliary word dare or being brave enough, they can also be used. For example, he dared not to take such a step, or how dare you contradict me? He doesn't dare speak to me. So dare includes your bravery, the courage, whether you have it or not. All right. Now this is your classroom activity where you have to put the right kind of modal verb following the clues given in the brackets. You can do it. You can pause the video, take a screenshot, and write it on your paper and also solve them according to the clues given in here. Now, students, this is your activity for practice, and you can consider it as your homework as well. You have to write about a problem you have. It could be real or imaginary that you would like advice on, and you should write the problem on a slip of paper. So you can read the instructions below and do this activity. You can watch this simulation link for more information, and here you have your worksheet attached that you need to solve. This will be distributed to you by your instructor or teacher, and you must do it in order to check your understanding. For your homework, you have to use the modal verbs, whether in positive, negative, or interrogative form. So these are all your resources over here. And at the end, thank you for listening. I hope that now we have covered the different kind of modal verbs according to their purposes and their situations. We have seen them in present and past as well. See you in the next video lesson. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.